Scott. It's Niki Bedi on BBC London 94.9. The time now 16 minutes past 10 on a snowy London night. And I welcome to the studio Joy Carter. Hello.
Hello, lovely to be here.
Lovely to have you here. Now, at the very beginning of the show, I listed all your various titles. Comedian, presenter, writer, broadcaster, speaker. Anything else I should add to that list?
I love cake as well.
Oh, yes, you love cake lover.
I can stuff it down.
Can you?
In huge quantities. I can't cook, but I'll eat it.
This tiny, sylph-like creature sitting before me. You'd have a food baby if you ate a cupcake. You so would. I've just been reading about your show, Get Carter, as well, so we make sure we speak about that before the end of our little chat. But you've picked out some big stories from the news this week. What shall we start with?
I think let's start with let's start with education, I think.
Okay.
Let's start with Michael Cove and what the government is naughtily doing, trying to privatise academies and also schools, free schools.
This is the secret memo story. Secret memo shows Michael Gove's plans for privatisation of academies.
Yeah. Shocking, really, because it's basically, we've seen what governments in the past have done with the British Rail, even with the NHS, making things private, selling things off for profit, especially if it's such an important and topic as education, I think is really a bit naughty, getting that in through the back door. And I'm glad someone has leaked it because the quality of our education in schools is absolutely paramount. If you do not have a good education, then all manner of problems start. And giving every single child in this country that possibility is absolutely, well, it seems to be almost superfluous to this government because it's like they keep changing their minds with what they're doing as well.
Well, because we've had this whole week of them doing a volte-face on the EBAC, haven't we, and going back to GCSEs. I mean, from the outside, somebody might suggest they really don't know what they're doing. On the other hand, it could also be seen to be them listening to what people's worries are. I mean, there is a flip side, not in the case of privatisation, though. The Shadow Education Secretary, Stephen Twigg, said this. This is worrying, echoing you there. We know that the Education Secretary has an open mind about profit-making in schools. We don't need a fast buck culture in education. Ministers need to rule this out immediately. It's really, really shocking. I mean, it's great that he feels that he can change his mind and listen to the flaws and debate and stuff. But at the same time, he's not an agony aunt, is it? You have to lead. You have to... Yes, you have to listen, but with certain topics, it's non-negotiable. And I don't know why they're doing it. So for people who don't know what the various groups and titles for schools are, an academy is a state school that's semi-independent of central government. They get funding directly from Whitehall, outside of local authority control, and they have greater freedom over finances, curriculum, teachers' pay and conditions. But they are unable to make a profit. Free schools are set up by groups of parents, teachers, charities and voluntary non-profit making groups. They're funded in the same way as academies and based on the charter school system in the US and trust schools in Sweden. We often look to Sweden, don't we, for clues on education. And then we have independent and private schools. And I think most of us know they're run by profit-making organisations, although sometimes they have to, they do have to fulfil charitable trust rules, I think.
Yeah.
And they offer bursaries to poorer students. So those are our categories, just to clarify, because I think people sometimes get confused about what an academy is, what a... Yeah. But I think so many people would echo your sentiments. Education should be for everybody. And it should be, it shouldn't be a postcode lottery. Because again, depending if you're living in Surrey, depending where you're living, not everybody can just up and move to a better area if you're not happy with your academy. Because they've cut back on this, they've cut back on that, they're making huge profits. It's very, very, very frightening. And I hope the government are listening. Listen to your show, even. Listening to Get Carter here. Get Carter. later.
Get it and sort it out.
Did you enjoy school? Did you have a good experience in your school days?
I did when we lived in Leicester, but when we moved up to Lincolnshire, it was absolutely horrific.
You're from Leicester?
Yes. I had a happy 12 years there, and then we moved up to Scunthorpe in North Lincolnshire, and it was horrendous.
What was horrendous about it?
Well, I was just really bullied, you know. I had a lot of racial bullying. So I know if you're not in a good school, and you're not happy rather at school, and you're kind of stuck there, it is a death sentence. Trust me.
Have you talked about your bullying?
Oh, I'm always moaning on about it.
Do you use that in your comedy?
It's all in my show. It's all in my one-woman show.
Wow,
yes.
okay.
And the ramifications of not having good education, or just being afraid, or not being able to really have a good start. I mean, thank God I resat things and I had good parents who helped me through it. But if you haven't got that good start, I mean, we've got so many problems with young people as it is, with parenting and all the other pressures. So a good school, a good education. Take that, make that a bit of a lottery, and you're going to have all manner of problems. This country will be in uproar because they're the future.
Well spoken, Joy Carter. Shall we talk about this story? Eve Ensler, $1 billion to join Dance Against Rape.
Yeah.
Have you ever done the vagina monologues?
No, I haven't, but I do love them for all the questions and the debates that have rushed to that whole story, because I still feel we're living sort of antiquated, 1800s. We're still fighting for these things on a worldwide basis, and it just feels like not enough of it is really being done. So I'm really glad, and especially on a beautiful day like Valentine's Day.
So what is it? Tell us what this is all about. What's going to happen on Valentine's Day?
Basically, 1 billion people across the planet will join the feminist tsunami, which is what is being called, by dancing to raise awareness at the shocking numbers of women and girls who are being raped or abused in their lifetime. It's a brainchild of a campaigner called Eve Ensler.
Eve Ensler wrote the vagina monologues, performed them herself initially on her own, and then took it to other women and actresses, and it's now gone all over the world. There are vagina monologues going on in every country you can think of, with Nigerian women doing the monologues, Indian women, wherever you can think of, it will be done, and in their own languages. I mean,
it's very exciting for her, because also, it's to prove it, and also to really just wake up the governments, global governments, to really make more, to do more on a personal, social, health education, zero tolerance. We need zero tolerance against violence and abuse to women in relationships as well as just random attacks. That's what people don't always understand. If you're in a relationship and you suffer violence, that topic is still a bit. It still seems like there's not really enough is being done. I mean, I sadly had something happen to me some years ago, and I was just very, very upset, not just by what happened to me, but by the number of my girlfriends who said, yeah, Joy, it's actually quite common. And I was like, virtually all my friends, and there was only literally a handful of people who said they'd never ever suffered any kind of abuse or attack. And I found that really, really distressing.
Was this within a relationship, the attack?
Yes, it was, yeah.
Right.
It was really quite distressing. The number of women, and everyone was some people quite blasé about it. Yeah, I just moved on and got on. I didn't.
So will you be dancing up to the, part of the flash mob outside Parliament on Thursday? Because it's going to be led by Tandy Newton. She's going to lead dancers outside Parliament. MPs led by Stella Creasy for Labour, Amber Rudd for the Conservatives, will debate a motion calling for new laws to make personal, social and health education, including a zero tolerance approach to violence and abuse in relationships, a requirement in schools.
Which I think it's all very well sort of saying to, young people, get out there, get relationships. But you need to understand the psychological and emotional intelligence required to have a meaningful relationship as well. And I'm really glad that Tandy Newton's doing it, because especially in show business, there's so many things that are taken for granted, like sexual abuse can also be psychological as well. And she suffered quite a lot, she said, as a young actress, with directors and photographers. So she's a brilliant role model that she's come through the system, still looks gorgeous, and also wants to make a change in her life.
Now, they have a